A government shutdown would force essential staff at the Federal Aviation Administration to work without pay, but the agency has another deadline to worry about. Congress must routinely pass a bill authorizing the FAA's existence. The House passed a reauthorization bill in July, but it stalled in the Senate, and the deadline is this weekend. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg says the inaction in D.C. comes with a cost.
This is a particularly bad time for a government shutdown, especially when it comes to transportation. The consequences would be disruptive and dangerous, and so would the long-term consequences of paying the ransom to avoid it in the form of savage cuts to safety, infrastructure, and other priorities.
And let's bring in CBS News senior transportation correspondent Kris Van Cleave. Kris, what would a government shutdown and the failure to pass the reauthorization bill actually mean in real terms for the FAA?
Well, a couple of things. One, you would have air traffic controllers, about 13,000 of them, that would go without pay. About 50,000 TSA officers that would also be working without pay. And while that's not an FAA agency, it certainly impacts people's ability to utilize things like the airlines. If we think back to 2018, 2019, and that shutdown that went on for weeks, first, you saw TSA sick calls jump substantially when people stopped getting paychecks. I mean, you saw food banks opening at airports to try to help the TSA workers that were not getting paid. When the sick calls went up, wait times at checkpoints went up. And then as this drug on, towards the very end of the shutdown, we saw air traffic controllers at a couple of key locations call in sick in large numbers, and that paralyzed air travel in and out of the New York area and flights to Florida. Once that happened, it was very short order where a short-term resolution to the shutdown was passed through Congress. So it has some real-world effects just in people's ability to move around if this is a long shutdown. It also would pause things like training of air traffic controllers. Air traffic control staffing is hovering around 50% of where ideally it should be. And in some areas, it is almost at bare minimums if you talk to the union. We saw flights over the summer in New York area. Airlines had to reduce their schedules because of staffing shortages. So pausing the training of the 1,500 plus controllers that have been hired only sort of delays and extends this shortage problem. It also means that the FAA can't be recruiting and working towards its goal for next year to hire more air traffic controllers. And without an FAA Authorization Act, John, they also can't collect fees from airlines, which go to fund things like runway projects and safety projects at airports across the country.
And so, Kris, what's holding up that FAA reauthorization bill?
Well, a version passed the House relatively easily. In the Senate, there are disagreements around the 1,500-hour pilot training rule. Right now, to be a first officer, the most junior first officer at an airline, you have to have at least 1,500 hours of flight time. Because there is a pilot shortage, there's been a push to change some of those training rules. There's also been a push to raise the maximum retirement age for pilots from 65 to 67. And there is skepticism about making changes on the safety and training side when you have a system that has gone through an unprecedented period of safety. There are many in the Senate that are arguing this part isn't broken. We don't need to fix it. But that's led to the Senate process grinding to a halt. Right now, there is a measure to temporarily extend the FAA reauthorization through the end of the year, which would keep the FAA authorized to do all the things it does, including collect fees from airlines and keep the funding for those projects at airports going, as well as continue to recruit air traffic controllers. But many of those things would stop if there's a shutdown. So the shutdown and the combination of the two really handcuffs the agency. You're talking about furloughing safety inspectors, for example, which, never sounds like a good idea.
No. Now, let me go from planes to automobiles, Kris. You've been covering the United Auto Workers strike as well. What are you hearing on that front?
Sure. We hear now that the United Auto Workers plan to announce what will most likely be an expansion of the strike on Friday. Negotiations are continuing. It doesn't sound like any of the big three automakers are close to a deal being imminent, although certainly that could change at any time. And the union has pretty much now appears that every week, if there's not a deal, they're going to expand the strike, seems to be the pattern. We saw it last Friday where they They decided to expand the strike against Stellantis, Chrysler's parent, as well as General Motors. They say all options are on the table, which means that you could see the strike expanded against Ford as well. But talks are continuing. They remain far apart on money in particular, John.
Kris Van Cleave. Thank you, Kris.
Sure thing.